Hey guys, Jack here, and today we're taking a look at some Watch Dogs 2 gameplay. I'm back home now from E3, and on the morning before I flew back, I actually got hands-on with the game at the Ubisoft booth. It was a 20-minute demo running on PS4. I'm playing the game and a developer is on my shoulder directing me and explaining some of the new features. Pretty straightforward. So as we go further into this video, I'll be walking you through some of the biggest changes and additions to the game based on what I played. Okay, Watch Dogs first released in May 2014 and was a brand new IP for Ubisoft. When it was first shown off, it blew people away. The visuals were incredible. You all remember that E3 demo that they showed. It had Aiden Pearce walking around through the club and then showed off the nighttime setting with the rain, and the lighting just looked incredible. The way the AI and traffic reacted, it really looked and it seemed like a truly next-gen game. Unfortunately though, it's well documented that when the game released, it didn't quite look as good as the initial demos, but to be fair, it was still an okay looking game. I honestly think though that Ubisoft have learnt their lesson with Watch Dogs 2, because the footage that they showed in the announcement stream a week ago looked far much more like the actual gameplay that I played yesterday. In reality, the game looks as good as the footage that you're seeing now. This is real gameplay. I don't think it was native 1080p on PS4 from what I could tell, but it was definitely only 30 FPS. Still in development though, so that could change, but I'd personally love more companies to aim for 60 FPS from the get-go. So what's happening in Watch Dogs 2? Well, this one's set in San Francisco rather than Chicago like the first game, and you're playing as a new protagonist called Marcus Holloway. Sorry, Aiden Pearce, you're nowhere to be seen. Marcus is far more hip. In fact, what they showed so far has a pretty hipster feel to it, and it looks like it's borrowing a lot of elements from the TV series Mr. Robot, which admittedly is very good, so go and see it if you haven't already. Marcus is a lot younger than Aiden and way more of a cool hacker type than the serious protagonist from Watch Dogs 1 with all of his darkness and family troubles. Even still though, Marcus isn't without his baggage and accused of a crime that he didn't commit, cue the A-Team theme, and that made him go against the system, so now he's a hacker for the people, or so he thinks he is. Thankfully the city is tapped into the CTOS system just like Chicago was. It would seem that these cities never learn, so he's got a massive playground here. In the demo that I played, you press the R3 stick in and that basically activates the Matrix, and it gives you access to see the digital world, and then from there you can hack into cell phones, see where security systems and where electronic doors lead to so you can unlock or disable them. And using this mode, I actually unlocked a side mission by eavesdropping on a woman's phone and then used our flying drone to locate a secret broadcast signal in a tower so we could progress with the mission. It felt like a very natural way to discover a side mission rather than just, hey, you can go to this checkpoint on the map and start the mission if you want. So Marcus isn't just a lone hacker in this world. He's part of a hacking community called DedSec. It seems like a lot of the story characters will be made up of DedSec members, at least some of the ones they've shown so far. One of them has no eyes, but rather a visor that displays emojis to represent his fields. I don't think you could get more hipster than that. I guess the best comparison to make would be to Anonymous from real life, the hacking group, hacktivists as they're referred to in the game, who've got ideals and feel that certain information should be shared with society, and they fight for a sense of freedom, whilst clearly breaking the law, but it's a video game so that's fine. Careful though, the city will be filled with other hacking groups, power-hungry corporations trying to make money and manipulate people, and of course the criminal element. The first game was all about hacking, or at least it was meant to be. You could hack terminals, cache points, NPCs, as well as other things like traffic pillars or even bridges to catch out chasing cars behind you. This time though, they've really amped up the hacking, and this is a fantastic thing because it's the essence of the game. Now you can hack way more things. In fact, almost all electronic things in the game can be hacked, and not only that, you can hack all the vehicles and remote control them. That's right, you can actually hack a car, for instance, and use it to take out an enemy, or maybe you're in a car chase and you might want to hack a car on the other side of the road to slam into your chasing foes. But wait, did I just say that you can control other cars while driving? Yep, the developers have confirmed that you can do this. In fact, this time around you can also shoot whilst you're driving, which is something that was missing from the first game. Not just cars though, Forklifts, utility vehicles, cranes, any vehicle in the world can be hacked. Pretty damn awesome, and that makes for some amazing gameplay moments. Hack all the things basically, and once you've got control of a car, you can use the triangle, square, circle and X buttons to control it, kind of like a D-pad on an RC car. This time around though, way more hacking options are also being made for people or NPCs in the world. In the original game, the hacking you could do to the NPCs was pretty limited, apart from gaining information on them, unless it was required specifically for a mission, but in Watch Dogs 2 that has changed. You can now hack any person in the world that you want to, and more importantly, you can do different things with them. A part of the demo I played, I actually hacked a security guard's phone, so he wandered off around the corner to check who it was, and then I jumped over the fence and smashed him in the face. And later on in the game, you'll be able to do that to multiple people at once and create like mass hysteria and big distractions. Some of the other gadgets they've added to the game are pretty cool too. I got to play around with an RC car and use it to activate control panels or unplug things, shock enemies, etc. This adds a different element to stealth gameplay if that's how you want to play the game. Accompanying that, you've got a quadricopter or a little drone, and you can use this to scope out areas, and well, it looks like it can be used in some funny ways. It actually kind of reminds me of the drone that was never seen from the early Division footage, and there was also some footage of a drone race through San Francisco. So there will be drone racing minigames in there through VR checkpoints, and your drone can also be upgraded to drop explosives. Now that's going to be very fun indeed. You've got the usual weapon varieties in here: rifles, shotguns, tasers, some of them 3D printed, and also a very unique melee weapon. It's essentially a billiard ball on a piece of cord, and he can use it to devastating effect. What's cool is that the devs apparently actually researched homemade weapons on the internet, much like what Marcus would actually do himself if he was a real bloke, and that's what they came up with. It looked the part and it blended in well with the rest of the fighting mechanics. In the side mission I played, I started off stealthy and then just resorted to smashing people in the face with my balls. Playing the game however you want is something that they seem to have put a real focus on this time. Marcus also has new movement at his disposal compared to Aiden. Now Aiden was no slouch, he could get about just fine, he could string together some cool movements and climb pretty well, but Marcus has got mad parkour skills. Parkour! At the end of the mission I was gallivanting across the rooftops like Daredevil. It should make the movement and gameplay options much more fluid than they were in the first game. And speaking of fluid, the driving has had a big overhaul as well, and that felt way more twitchy than the previous game. More physics have been added to the vehicles, and while each type will have its own style of handling, it did seem pretty arcadey, but accessibility seems to be their priority here. A lot of people didn't like the driving in Watch Dogs 1 and found it pretty clunky. Some people did like that though. Personally, I don't want it to be overly realistic because that's not really the type of game this is, but I don't want it to be too arcadey either. Hopefully they can strike a nice balance, because when you're driving around here you can hack, you can shoot, and you can even deploy your drone, and that's already a lot to focus on. Seamless online play is another feature that was present in Watch Dogs 1 that's being built upon for the sequel. Whilst I played, there was a dev in the station next to me playing in the same instance as me, and basically I walked up to him, waved, and then we were in a group together to do a mission. I could see what this guy was hacking and who he was shooting at, so I knew his intention, and we went through a small mission together, and it grouped us up in party chat as well so we could communicate on mic. Can we play the whole game in co-op? I don't know, but that would be neat. PvP game modes, I did ask, but they wouldn't elaborate on it. I'm guessing the invading and typical PvP from the first game will make a return here with some improvements. So wrapping up, just some closing thoughts here. The main problem I had with the original Watch Dogs was, even though I played through the entire game, it didn't really grab my attention. Now, I don't usually like to compare games, but you can't help but compare Watch Dogs to Grand Theft Auto 5, and while I played GTA 5, it was just so immersive. The characters were fantastic, the voice acting was brilliant, and the missions were always varied and exciting. You might be flying a plane, chasing down a highway, or parachuting into a warehouse. Whatever it was, it really kept you engaged, and you always wanted to play the next mission to see what would happen. In comparison with Watch Dogs 1, the missions weren't particularly exciting or varied, and they didn't really use the hacking feature as much as they could have. After a while it just all got a bit samey. That's the one thing I'm really hoping that they address in the new game, and the amount of gadgets being made available and the ability to hack almost anything, as well as the feedback from the first game, they've really seemed to have listened, and I'm pretty optimistic after getting my first hands-on experience. Also, the story offers a lot more potential here too. Firstly, San Francisco looks amazing. I've been there myself a few times, and they've nailed all the landmarks and the look and the feel of the place. The premise of DedSec being these guys that want to bring the big corporations to their knees, and being based around Silicon Valley with some of the biggest corporations, you could imagine it leads to a couple of interesting mission possibilities. It seems that you level up by exposing these corporations and their secrets. They made a point to also state how it's far less linear than Watch Dogs 1. Lots of side missions can be done in any order, and of course there will be an order to the story missions, but they've done away with things like hacking towers in certain areas. The missions themselves feel far much more open. You'll have an objective, a goal, but you're free to decide how you get to that point. I also got to do a bit of character customization, which was far more versatile than the first game. You just walk into a specific clothes shop that has like a brand, and naturally the outfit that I went for was a pink shirt, jogging bottoms and bright green fluorescent Crocs. Just balling out of control. You could do a bit of customization in Watch Dogs 1, but it was very basic and very restrictive. This time around you seem far more able to customize all parts of your character and wardrobe. Overall, I was pleasantly surprised with what I played and saw here, although do keep in mind it was a very short 20-minute directed demo I experienced. It looked good, and the new mechanics they've introduced instantly made the game far more interesting than the first one for me. It's a lot more open field now. Hopefully Watch Dogs 2 will continue this trend and won't take itself too seriously. Like I said, it had sort of a Mr. Robot feel to it with a touch of GTA 5 humour. Not a bad thing at all, but I'm remaining cautiously optimistic for now. And that's all for today, guys. Do let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, a thumbs down, and I'll see you in the next one.